heard of it, but you don't really know how to go about it. So in this video, I'm going to do my best to break it down and make it as bite-sized as possible so that you can go away and actually apply some of the things that I talk about. Hey, what's information without transformation, right? Anyway, if you're new here, I'm Jia. Welcome, take a seat, have your coffee, let's begin. Emotional intelligence. I love talking about emotional intelligence because emotions affect pretty much everything we think, feel, and do. And so if you can master your emotions, you can pretty much master your day. And when you can master your day, you live a life that you want to live, right? Okay, so emotional intelligence has 4 parts: self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and relationship management. Before I dive into these 4, emotional intelligence, let's break down the word. Emotional comes from emotions. Intelligence means being aware of what it is and you deciding and choosing how you're going to react to it based on information, based on logic, not based on emotion, if that makes sense. I think it makes sense. Okay, so the first one, self-awareness. All that means is you are aware of what you are feeling, what's going on. It just means you're very in tune with your body. So for example, you know, when for example, somebody says something, somebody does something that's, you know, not nice. Somebody maybe is mean to you at work, or a colleague or something, and all of a sudden, you know, your heart rate goes up, you feel shitty, you feel crap, you want to cry, you feel upset. And then on the other hand, when somebody says something good or does something good, you feel happy and blessed and joyous and excited and all of that. So we have this good range of emotions, we have these bad range of emotions. Now, emotions aren't actually good or bad, but because the way we've been grown up, the way we've been brought up, we've been taught to label emotions as good and bad. But they're not. They're really not. Emotions are just information. And they're telling you something, right? So, you know, when you're growing up, you wanted something and your parents were like, no, and you're being told to like stop crying, put on a happy face, always be smiling, don't show your emotions. You know, we've heard that a lot. Don't show your emotions, because vulnerability is seen as a sign of weakness, where actually it's not, and I can talk about that in another video. So back to being self-aware. Now, somebody says something, you feel a certain way. And in that moment, if you are self-aware that, okay, I am feeling like this because of this, and then you decide to change how you feel, that is being emotionally intelligent. For example, again, let me give an example. You know, you wake up in a crappy mood. You go on your phone and you start scrolling on social media. All of a sudden 2 hours have gone by and now you're hungry and cranky. You go and eat something and you go and scroll on social media some more, and that thing that you wanted to do, you're not going to do because you're being led by emotions and how you're feeling. You haven't recognized that, hey, I woke up in a bad mood for no reason. I decided to go on my phone mindlessly. Before I knew it, 2 hours had gone by and now I'm back on my phone and now I'm stuck in this loop. That's a little bit more touching on, you know, dopamine and how mindless scrolling is not really that great for you. But I think I've got sidetracked. This is what happens when you go into health. So yeah, being self-aware, just be aware of what emotions you're feeling. Write it down. Don't kind of brush it under the carpet. Don't kind of try and run away from them. You never want to run away from emotions, ever. Because if you've done that for the entirety of your life, I'm telling you, they're in a pressure cooker, and one day something is going to happen and that pressure cooker is going to pop, and you do not want to get to that stage. And you can feel when it's getting to that stage because you've become snappy, you become really irritated, you're frustrated, you're not enjoying your day. You know, little things are just a nag for you. Little things that don't even take that much time or effort, like doing the dishes or like making the bed. Little things become really tedious and you just really don't want to do them. You almost hate doing them. So really important to be self-aware. Self-aware with yourself, what you're feeling, what your emotions are. Write it down, and then you can be like, okay, I'm feeling like this because of this. And now I can choose to carry on feeling like this or be emotionally intelligent, take a deep breath, hold space for myself, and actually change how I'm feeling. And some of the things that you can do to change how you're feeling is your physiology. Basically, I can do another video on that. Emotional intelligence is a massive topic. I'm just doing a very short bite-sized video just to get you started with emotional intelligence. Okay, so again, self-awareness. It was self-awareness, self-assessment, and self-confidence. So the self-assessment was, what am I feeling? You're assessing yourself. Again, you're not judging yourself, you're accepting what you're feeling. And then the self-confidence to do something about it. Now, you're not always going to have the self-confidence in the beginning to do something about it, because especially if emotional intelligence is a new thing for you, it is difficult, it is different, it is challenging. You will be tested over and over again. So just hold space for yourself to just practice being more and more emotionally intelligent. It will take years. Just give yourself years to do it. Honestly, it's a tool that will serve you for the rest of your life. So don't rush into it. Just do a little bit whenever you can. Next thing was the social awareness. This has empathy, appreciable, good listener, and organizational awareness. So empathy, all that means is you are empathetic of how the other person is feeling. For example, you're at work and a customer comes in really pissed off, really annoyed, and when you're empathetic, you appreciate and you understand where they are coming from. You're not defensive and judgmental and argumentative. You are like, you know what, you are right. Even if they're wrong, you are still empathetic, you are still understanding of where they are coming from, because in their mind they're right, and in your mind you're right. And that's the thing with every single person. We all think we're right, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong, but it's true, right? Everybody thinks they're right. And so when you can be empathetic, you can really appreciate and understand where this other person is coming from. The second thing was approachable. You are approachable. So even when you're feeling, when you are being led by these certain emotions that are labeled as bad, you are still people can still come and talk to you. You're still able to have a face on you where you don't look like you're going to kill someone, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense in my head. The next thing was you are a good listener. There is a reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should be listening more than you're speaking, especially if you are dealing with people, if you have your own business, if you are serving clients, if you are in a customer-facing job, wherever you are, you need to be listening. And not listening where you're always thinking of what you're going to say next, but actually listening and just being absorbed by the information that they're giving you. And then, when it's your time to speak, then you speak. But there is a difference between listening and hearing. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. I don't know if that makes sense. Next thing was organizational awareness. Organizational comes from the word organized. All that means is that, you are organized in your mental capacity. You are organized in your day, on your desk, on your folders in your computer. And, when you go into a company, when you go somewhere, you're aware of how the organization works and if it's organized and how it's affecting you. So for example, if I have a cluttered desk or if I have a cluttered room, it affects me. And I think that comes from, the law of correspondence, as within, so without, as below, so above. It affects me. And so I'm aware that it's affecting me. And then when I tidy the space and make it more organized, I feel more organized. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. All right, the next one after that is self-management. This one has self-control, transparency, achievement, adaptability, initiative, and optimism. That's a lot of words. We'll just go with self-management. Self-management. You're able to manage your emotions. You're able to do what you want to do or what you said you would, despite not feeling like it, despite feeling certain negative emotions. So again, as an example, you receive bad news from somebody, and you know, instead of being annoyed and letting that affect the rest of your day and not doing the things that you said you would, you kind of acknowledge and you appreciate, okay, this is what's happened. I'm accepting this has happened. I'm not running away from it. If you need to cry, if you need to kind of go for a walk, you're basically appreciating, you're efficiently processing the emotions from your body. Emotions come in, you feel them, you need to let them go out. It's like a wave. It has to stay flowing. Imagine what happens, right? If the emotions keep coming in and they're not going out, they keep coming in. It's going to be like a pressure cooker. And you've seen, I'm sure you've seen people around you, you've seen in movies, you've seen with your peers, when things become too much for them, what happens? They do something or they say something that they regret for the rest of their life. And you do not want to get to that stage. And it could be, you know, things have been happening in your life for years and years and years, and you've just been putting up with them. And you don't know how to deal with your emotions, you don't know how to set boundaries, you don't know how to help yourself, you don't know how to say no. All of these things affect your mental health, and you know, they basically say that you are not emotionally intelligent. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but being emotionally intelligent has so many benefits, not just for you, but for the people around you. And the fact that you can be happier, you can be at peace, and you can regulate yourself. If you can regulate yourself, you won the battle in life. Like, I truly believe that. There was a saying by, I think, a Chinese scholar, or there was a quote I read somewhere. It was, I think, to master other people is awesome, but to master yourself is the true where the money is at, if that makes sense. Which is so true. Like, if you cannot manage yourself, how do you expect to manage people around you? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Basically, just be aware of what emotions you're feeling, accept them, don't run away from them, don't be afraid of them, don't judge yourself, love yourself, accept yourself, hold the space to cry, go out for a walk, whatever it is that you need to do. And then just acknowledge, okay, I was feeling like this, I've done something about it, and now I choose to carry on with my day as I plan to. I'm not going to let these emotions get in the way of what I needed to do. Something that also comes in hand is discipline. Discipline is a muscle. You have to train it over and over and over again. You have to do it when you don't feel like it. You have to do it when you're tired, when you're hungry, when you're pissed off, when you can't be bothered, when your ego is like, what's the point? And this is especially true in fitness, where, you know, you said you were going to work out 3 to 4 times a week, and then, you know, you come home from work, you're tired, you can't be bothered, it's raining, it's cold, the gym is 10 minutes away, you know, you don't have this, and you come up with all these excuses. But if you had the discipline, you would just get it done. That's it. You would get it done first, and then you would think about it later and be like, oh yeah, that wasn't so bad, was it? How many times have you done something when you didn't feel like it, and how amazing did that feel? How strong did you feel mentally? How resilient did you feel? Because a lot of the times we are led by our emotions. A lot of the times we let our emotions kind of dictate how we think, how we feel, and how we act. And these 3 things are what are responsible for our kind of journey and our outcome in life, right? So if you can master how you think, feel, and act, well, that's it. You've kind of mastered life, right? Like, you can pretty much achieve anything if you can master yourself. And that's why discipline is so important. Like, my discipline for the last 6 weeks, I've been working out 6 times a week. It's only been half an hour workout. It's not about the length of the workout. It's just about doing the workout. And it's half an hour workouts a day. So for example, you know, Monday is chest, triceps, and glutes. Tuesday is back and bicep. Wednesday is legs and shoulders. Thursday we go back to chest and triceps. Friday is back and biceps. and then Saturday is legs and shoulders, Sunday break, and then every week I do have the same pattern, so that every week I know exactly what I'm doing. So there's no noise, there's no excuses, there's no, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I need to do this. You want to make it as easy, you want to make it as simple as possible for yourself. The more simple you can make those tasks, the easier it will be to practice that discipline. And then eventually discipline becomes free. You did that thing and you feel incredible, and it wasn't that bad. You didn't die, did you? You're here and you're stronger than ever. So yay to discipline. All right, so last one was obviously relationship management, which covers influence, inspirational leadership, coach and mentor, conflict management, trade, teamwork, collaboration, and change catalyst. Okay, that's a lot of words. So relationship management, what does that mean? So look at the relationships in your life. You know, you've got maybe a loved one, you've got parents, you've got siblings, you've got family, friends, whatever, colleagues, customers, relationships. Relationship management means you're able to manage those relationships effectively. So for example, again, if they're being shitty towards you, if they're acting up, if they're not doing the things that they said they would, you're still able to communicate with them efficiently. You're still able to kind of help them. You're still able to understand what they're doing, why they did it, and how it made you feel, and how now you're going to react to it. It's like a cycle. I hope I'm making sense. Somebody let me know in the comments if I'm making sense, because yeah, I just hope I'm making sense. Relationship management is just, you're able to manage, if you can manage yourself, basically, you can manage the relationships around you. And so when it comes to emotions, it's just understanding, you know, for example, if your partner is feeling upset, okay, you know, why are they feeling upset? What's happened for them to feel upset? How are they acting now that they're upset? They're probably being led by emotion, because a lot of the times when people are emotionally unintelligent, they are led by emotion and they cannot see the bigger picture. When you're in that state of mind where you are being led by emotion, you cannot see that you're being led by emotion. It's kind of one of those things where you're in a tunnel and you can just see, you're just in that tunnel, you're going down, you can't see, you know, you're looking down at the tunnel. If you were to look up, you could see the sky, but you're looking down at the tunnel and you can just see, you can just go down, 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 and down, right? But an emotionally intelligent person knows that they are feeling like that, and all they need to do is cry it out, hold space. They need to breathe, they need to go for a walk, they need to, you know, tell somebody that they're feeling a certain way. They're able to manage their emotions. Emotional intelligence is such a massive topic and it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating, especially if you want to improve your mental health, if you want to have good relationship with your family, friends, colleagues. It just makes life so much easier because you can understand why a person has certain emotions and how it's making them act, and why they have those emotions, how it's making them act, and how it's affecting the people around them. I'll give you another example. There was a lady that reached out to me in my DMs on Facebook, and she was like, you know, I want to be more emotionally intelligent, especially with my son. I've noticed I'm quite short-tempered, and I just want to be able to kind of get through to him. And I was just like, you know, I think she was also saying that she shouts at him, or she's just there's just not a lot of communication between her and her son. So I was like, with emotional intelligence, firstly, you need to give yourself time and space. I'll say the first homework is just be aware of what emotions you're feeling. So for example, he comes and he says something to you. I want you to be aware of, that's the first thing, of what emotions surface. Just be aware of them, don't judge them, don't label them, aware of them, accept yourself, write it down, because then when you write it down, is when you can, which is the first step, and then you can be like, okay, now I'm going to react in a logical manner and not based on emotion. So the homework that I gave her was actually quite long, but I remember some of the things I said, okay, so be aware of what emotions you're feeling. Don't judge them, don't label them, and also listen. Listen to what your son is saying. Be empathetic towards what he's saying, because in his mind he is right, in your mind you're right. But if you want to have a good relationship, you're going to have to work with him. He's a human being, he has his own thoughts and feelings and beliefs, and you know, if you want to have a good relationship, you're going to have to work together. So I was like, you need to kind of, you know, what was the first thing? So it was like kind of acknowledge what emotions you're feeling, accept them, work with them, write them down, and then understand, have the empathy. Okay, this is where he's coming from. And then, you know, work with him to find a solution. He's going to suggest some things, you're going to suggest some things, and then you're going to find a middle ground. And then you're going to be able to move past this thing and, you know, move forward. And you're going to have a better relationship with your son. You know, as he grows up, he's going to be able to trust you. As he grows up, he's going to find a friend in you. As he grows up, he's going to be able to come to you with his problems. And you want that, right? You want that kind of relationship with your children, with your spouse, with your colleagues, your customers, whoever it is. When you can understand them, you can be empathetic towards them, you can, you know, even help them understand, hey, this is the emotion that you're feeling now. This is a little bit of a tricky area, especially if that person is completely oblivious to emotional intelligence. You don't want to chuck it in their face. And there is a way to do it, and I'll briefly touch on it in this video. So, for example, you know, you are in a customer facing job, and a customer comes in, they're a regular, and they're normally very happy, they're normally bubbly and they're excited, but then today they come in and they're quite pissed off and they're short-tempered and they're just in a rush, and you can sense that, right? I can sense that because I'm an empath. Maybe you can sense that too. You can sense that, and then you can be like, hey, how was your day? And they'll be like, oh, it's been such a crap day. And then you can be like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, and then either you can be like, I've had a crap day too, or I wouldn't recommend saying that, or you could be like, what happened? Do you mind me asking? Like, normally you're so happy, like, what's happened with you today? And maybe not in those words, but you know, you find the right words, and they'll be like, oh, my car broke down and this happened and that happened, and I just want to go and do my thing and whatever. And then you could be like, yeah, no, I hear you, that's so shit, I'm so sorry to hear that. And then you could be like, have you had any breakfast today? Because remember, food affects if you're in a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn state. And they'd be like, no, I haven't. I'd be like, hey, why don't you sit down, have a coffee, have some breakfast, just, you know, enjoy the weather, and then come in and do what you were going to do, and just kind of, you know, just, yeah, just appreciate the moment. Not in those exact words, but you're kind of steering them into a direction which could help them, if that makes sense. So you're not telling them, hey, you're being emotionally unintelligent and you're being really stupid. Like, you're not saying that. You're steering them in the right direction. And then next time when they come back and they're happy and bubbly, you could be like, hey, how were you feeling last time when you had the food? And they were like, you know what, thank you so much, that really made a difference. And then you could be like, you know, I like being emotionally aware. Like, have you ever heard of emotional intelligence? And then you can kind of plant the seed in them, and then they'll be like, oh, what's emotional intelligence? And you're like basically being aware of your emotions, being able to manage them, and being able to react in a logical way. And then they'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go and read up on that. Maybe they'll say that, maybe they won't, but at least you've planted the seed. And then it's their job to then go and do more reading into emotional intelligence if they wanted to. But you've done your bit. Now, I'm not telling you to teach other people emotional intelligence, but I'm just saying emotional intelligence, it just makes a difference in your life and the people around you. So that's it for emotional intelligence. I'm just going to check if I need to say anything else on emotional intelligence. Yeah, it's just basically being aware of what you're feeling, what your emotions are, how you're going to deal with it, and doing something about it. Doing something about it is very important. But sometimes when you're in a weak state of mind, or for example, when I'm on my period, or when I'm just really, really exhausted, then I do let my emotions lead the way. And I am aware that I'm letting my emotions lead the way, and I choose to, just because you know, I'm human. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I never plan to be perfect. but I am still aware that I am feeling this way and I choose to feel this way. And nobody can do nothing about it. That's it. I'm going to end this video. It's been a long ass video. Thank you so much if you've stayed till the end. Let me know if you have. And I will see you in another video. Let me know what you want to see next. In the meantime, I'm going to do something very cringy. Do your bicep curls, eat your cake, and I'll see you in another video. Bye! Okay, how do I turn this off? Seriously, how do I turn it off?